Welcome to the Unraveling the Scriptures channel. Among the known Jewish groups, such as Mizrahi, Ashkenazi, and Sephardic, there is also a group called Beta Israel, widely known as Ethiopian Jews. Have you heard of them? Are Ethiopian Jews truly Jewish, and do they have proven Jewish ancestry in their DNA or genetics? In this video, we will address an intriguing question. Some suggest that they may be descendants of the tribe of Dan. But is this hypothesis true? What do genetics and history have to say about this possibility? By watching, you will discover more details about Ethiopian Jews, also known as Black Jews. Beta Israel, the Jews of Ethiopia, and the mystery of their history and origin. Ethiopian Jews, known as Beta Israel, were previously called Falashim or Falashas, a term meaning foreigner or exiled. Today, they are more frequently called Beta Israel, which translates to House of Israel, or simply Ethiopian Jews. This group is part of the Jewish diaspora, having lived for thousands of years in the territory of the ancient kingdom of Aksum and later in the Ethiopian Empire, which currently corresponds to the regions of Amhara and Tigray in Ethiopia. After the founding of the State of Israel in 1948, the majority of Beta Israel migrated to the country or were evacuated through various initiatives by the Israeli government. Historically, this community settled in the north and northwest of Ethiopia, where they were spread across more than 500 small villages in large areas, coexisting with predominantly Christian and Muslim populations. The largest concentration of Beta Israel was in regions such as the northern zone of Gondar, Shire Inda Selassie, Volkayit, Tselemti, Dembia, Segalt, Kwara, and Belesa. Their languages include Hebrew and Ge'ez, a Cushitic language native to Ethiopia, which was widely used historically. The religion of Beta Israel is Judaism. This group seems to have remained isolated from traditional Jewish communities for at least a millennium, practicing a form of non-Talmudic Judaism that shares some similarities with Karaite Judaism. The religious practices of Beta Israel are known as Haymanot. During the 19th and 20th centuries, the Beta Israel community faced persecutions in Ethiopia, which led a significant portion of its members to convert to Christianity. Those who adopted Christianity became known as Falash Mura. Additionally, the largest Christian Beta Abraham community is often considered a crypto-Jewish offshoot of the Beta Israel community. Beta Israel had its first broad contact with other Jewish communities only in the late 20th century. This encounter sparked an extensive rabbinic debate about their Jewishness. This discussion revolved around the concept of Jewish blood or Jewish ethnicity, whether a person is considered Jewish by bloodline descent or solely through conversion to Judaism. The term Jew can have different meanings depending on the context. It can refer to a person of Jewish ancestry, meaning someone belonging to the Jewish ethnicity, or to someone who has converted to Judaism regardless of their ethnic origin. Thus, a person of any ethnicity, be it European, African, Asian, or otherwise, can become Jewish through conversion. Therefore, it is essential to understand that the meaning of Jew can vary between two main aspects: as a religious identity tied to Judaism, or as a reference to ethnic origin related to descent. After extensive halakhic and constitutional discussions, Israeli authorities decided in 1977 that the Beta Israel group fully qualified for the benefits provided by Israel's law of return. With this decision, the Israeli government, with the support of the United States, launched a large-scale operation to transport and integrate members of Beta Israel into Israeli territory, conducting various initiatives over the years. Among these operations, the following stand out: Operation Brothers, 1979 to 1990, which rescued the Beta Israel community that had sought refuge in Sudan; Operation Moses, 1984, and Operation Joshua, 1985, both focused on transporting Ethiopian Jews to Israel; Operation Solomon, 1991, which evacuated thousands of Ethiopian Jews in a large coordinated action. Now, returning to the origins and history of Ethiopian Jews. What are their roots? Are they Jews by ethnicity or only by religion? According to the oral traditions of the Beta Israel, many accounts suggest that they originated from an ancient migration of members of the tribe of Dan to Ethiopia, possibly led by the sons of Moses during the Exodus period. However, contemporary scholars suggest that the Beta Israel group emerged relatively more recently, forming a distinct ethnic national identity in response to historical pressures that intensified between the 14th and 16th centuries. Alternative chronologies for the origin of the Beta Israel include historical events such as the later crises in Judea, for example, the division between the northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom of Judah after the death of King Solomon, or even the Babylonian exile. Other Beta Israel accounts are based on the Christian narrative of Menelik's return to Ethiopia. According to Ethiopian traditions, Menelik is considered the first emperor of the Solomonic dynasty, the son of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, also known as Queen Makeda. This tradition maintains that Menelik brought the Ark of the Covenant to Ethiopia. There is, however, a debate about the true origin of the Queen of Sheba. Was she Ethiopian or from southern Arabia? Although this discussion is relevant, it will not be addressed here. According to John Abink, all the available traditions reflect recent interpretations but are based on ancient convictions. He distinguishes three main versions among the traditions recorded by the community's priests. One of these versions, recorded by the so-called Companions of Menelik, asserts that the Beta Israel originated in the ancient kingdom of Israel as contemporaries, not descendants of Solomon or Menelik. The Ethiopian national history, as narrated through the Kebra Nagast, one of their sacred texts, claims that Ethiopians are descendants of Israelite tribes who migrated to Ethiopia with Menelik I, allegedly the son of King Solomon, and the Queen of Sheba, also called Makeda. According to the legend, when Menelik came of age, he visited his father in Jerusalem and later settled in Ethiopia, bringing the Ark of the Covenant with him. This narrative maintains that the Ark has been safeguarded in Ethiopia to this day, under the protection of descendants of the tribe of Levi. However, the Bible does not mention that the Queen of Sheba had children or any intimate relationship with King Solomon. Some scholars identify the figure of the Queen of Sheba with the woman described in Song of Songs 1:5, known for her beauty and sun-bronzed skin. However, the text clearly indicates that this woman was Israeli, from that land, and not from other regions. Furthermore, although her bronzed skin is mentioned, the text does not state that she was a black woman. This characteristic reflects more the Semitic phenotype of the time than any other regional or ethnic origin. The Kebra Nagast, an important text in Ethiopia, asserts that the Beta Israel descends from a group of men from Judah who fled south, crossing the Arabian coastal lands from Judea, after the division of the Kingdom of Israel into two kingdoms in the 10th century BC during the reign of Rehoboam over Judah. The traditions about the origins and history of Beta Israel do not present a consensus even among the Ethiopians themselves. Some narratives attribute their Jewish ancestry to the period after the Babylonian exile. Others suggest it dates back to the time of King Solomon or the moment of the division of the kingdoms of Israel. There are even those who point to a connection with the time of Moses. These multiple interpretations demonstrate the diversity of perspectives within the community regarding their Jewish origins, reflecting rich but widely divergent oral and historical traditions. Let's analyze what genetics can reveal about this matter. Do Ethiopian Jews have ancient Levantine Semitic ancestry, or is their origin different? Let's explore the genetic findings on this subject. It is important to remember that genome and DNA studies are essential tools for determining characteristics related to Jewish DNA. Several genetic studies have been conducted with the Beta Israel community. Starting with the uniparental lineages, a 2008 study on the matrilineal genetic ancestry inherited through the maternal line of the Jewish diaspora revealed that the DNA of Ethiopian Jews, as a group, is not homogeneous. It shows diversity in both Eurasian and African DNA. Some Ethiopian Jews have a significant proportion of Eurasian DNA, accompanied by a smaller amount of African DNA. On the other hand, there are individuals with a higher frequency of African DNA, similar to that of their Christian and Muslim neighbors. The Beta Israel, a Jewish community in Ethiopia, lived in a society that historically hosted various religions and practices, including slavery. During this period, slaves, mostly of Gumu's origin, were converted to Judaism by the Beta Israel, becoming part of the daily community life. Over time, these individuals also migrated to Israel along with the Beta Israel, being partially integrated into the community. However, the discrimination that existed in Ethiopia continued to affect those of full or partial Gumu's origin, even under the label of Beta Israel. According to a study conducted by Cruciani and others in 2002, haplogroup A is the predominant paternal lineage among Ethiopian Jews. This lineage is found in 41% of Beta Israel men and is largely associated with Nilotic Saharan and Khoisan language populations. However, the specific subgroups present among Ethiopian Jews, such as AY2-3865, emerged thousands of years ago in the highlands of Ethiopia. Additionally, about 18% of Ethiopian Jews carry haplogroup EP2, specifically the EM329 variant, which was identified in ancient DNA from an Ethiopian fossil dated to around 4,500 years ago. This reinforces the deep connection between these lineages and the Ethiopian region, highlighting the genetic diversity of the Beta Israel community. The haplotypes found among the Beta Israel are often associated with populations in southeastern Ethiopia, especially among speakers of Omotic languages. Most of the Beta Israel belong to haplotypes related to haplogroups E-M35 and J-M267, which are more commonly associated with Cushitic populations in northeastern Africa. More detailed studies indicate that the EM35 found among Ethiopian Jews predominantly has indigenous origins linked to the Horn of Africa, particularly Ethiopia, and does not have Levantine Semitic ancestry. This reinforces the idea that the paternal lineages of Ethiopian Jews reflect local ancestry from northeastern Africa rather than direct connections to the Middle East. A mitochondrial DNA study conducted in 2011 analyzed the maternal ancestry of 41 Beta Israel individuals. It was found that 51.2% belonged to macro-haplogroup L, predominant in Africa, while the remaining 48.8% were composed of Eurasian origin lineages, including 22% R0, 19.5% M1, 5% W, and 2.5% U. However, no identical haplotypes were shared between the Jewish populations of Yemen and Ethiopian Jews, suggesting very limited historical gene flow between these communities. The maternal profile of the Beta Israel is therefore more similar to populations from the highlands of Ethiopia. Regarding autosomal ancestry, a comprehensive study conducted by Tishkoff and others in 2009 examined the genetic connections of various African populations. According to Bayesian clustering analysis, the Beta Israel generally align genetically with Cushitic-speaking populations and other Ethiopian populations from the Horn of Africa. A 2010 study by Behar and colleagues on the genomic structure of Jews observed that Ethiopian Jews Beta Israel and Indian Jews Bene Israel and Kochini show greater genetic affinity with neighboring indigenous populations in Ethiopia and Western India, respectively. Despite evidence of a paternal connection between the Beta Israel and the Levant, the autosomal analysis revealed that the Beta Israel are genetically closer to other populations from the Horn of Africa, particularly the Ethiopian region, than to any other Jewish community. In 2012, a study led by Ostra concluded that the Beta Israel community was founded around 2,000 years ago, likely by a small group of Jews from outside, with the subsequent integration of local populations. This process resulted in significant genetic differentiation of the Beta Israel from other Jewish groups. A more recent study, published in 2020 by Agranat Tamir and others, revealed that the DNA of Ethiopian Jews is predominantly of East African origin, making up about 80% of their genetic composition. The other 20% comes from Semitic Middle Eastern ancestry, sharing similarities with modern Jewish and Arab populations. However, this Semitic portion is not exclusively of Jewish origin, as it is partly attributed to an Arab lineage from southern Arabia that mixed with Ethiopian Jews. In summary, Ethiopian Jews are predominantly of Ethiopian origin, with a minority portion of Semitic ancestry that reflects both Jewish and Arab influences throughout history. Share in the comments what you knew about the Jews of Ethiopia. May God bless you all, and see you soon.